Smart, I appreciate you talking to me for an episode of my podcast, man. I want to welcome you to the show, man.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. I'm so happy to be here. Um, I've been watching you for a long time. Big fan of yours. I saw the stuff you did with Bengals Smurf. I seen the stuff with Dark Low and everybody. You switched your channel though, right? Like you used to have like this kind of like this. It was that you like you had like the intro was like um a red carpet kind
Yep.
of a thing.
Fact.
All right, cool. All right, yeah. I've been watching your content for a long time, man. You've been in the game for a minute, and I definitely wanted to just salute you, and it's very refreshing to speak to someone who is from a different ethnicity, right? Like, and for you not to be a culture vulture, right? Like in the hood, we would call you white chocolate, right? Like you know, you're authentic, man, and um I respect your approach, and man, you're gonna be a big deal, man. I foresee Joe Rogan level success for you, man.
I really appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that, Smart. You know what I mean? But I could go somewhere totally else with that, but I want to keep it focused on you, bro.
I
You know,
got you. I got you.
I really appreciate the flowers though. You know what I mean? That shit means a lot to me.
Yeah, we gotta listen. We listen. We gotta listen, man. You know, you know, acknowledgement is important, right? Especially in this time, right? And I'm not. I don't have no ego, right? Like, you know, I feel like it's 10M versus 10K, right? Like M standing for minute, K for thousand, right? Like it's 10 minutes versus 10,000 hours. It's a lot of 10-minute motherfuckers right now getting flowers, and the 10,000 hour motherfuckers are getting overlooked. You know, you put your 10,000 hours in, and that's 10 plus years of just being in this culture of true hip hop, entertainment, media, whatever you want to call it, Mikey. So I definitely respect that. So
Yeah.
I
And
want
that's why I'm glad I get to have this conversation with you, man. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, because some of my audience might not know about who you are. And, I want you to explain that, just explain everything exactly, where you're from and where you grew up.
Well, I'm from my mama. 25 Overy Lane. Originally, we had a flood. I had to move out, relocated to Harlem. Um, and man, it was tough, right? Because I didn't have a father in the home. My mother got addicted to drugs. She was abusive. We was in and out of the shelters, and I spent my early childhood like just predominantly in the system. So it was really tough growing up, and I had to learn how to hustle early, right? Like my first hustle was like swiping Metro cards, and trying to swipe people on the train by bending the Metro card and then using that money to buy food, because man, the shelter food wasn't it, right? And it was so crazy because my mother, you know man, she was doing heavy drugs. And I remember like her just being like leaving me in all these apartments with all these weird, creepy people. And like I would see them like it was crack, right? But as a kid, I just thought it was like a magic piece of candy, right? Like everybody just wanted, right? And I didn't know what it was, but I knew it had a value because I could see how people treated it, and it was some residue left on the floor. So, you know, I picked it up and I left out the house and went to the corner store and gave it to the guy in the corner store and tried to get a sandwich for some crack. You know what I mean? And obviously, they freaked out, kicked me out of the store, called police on me. Child services came, and it was just crazy, man. Um, I just remember having to really just hustle, and you know, my whole life has been just self-reliance and hustle. Then I started doing music, and um, it man, got a couple record deals, and it was an eye-opening experience. And now that I look back with what I know now, I made it out unscathed, right? Like I did a Math Hoffa interview, and he was trying to pull teeth and get me to really drop the T, man. But I'm keeping Pandora's box closed, right? And you know, as a signed artist at the time, man, I just seen the dirty side to the business, right? Like how people compromise for money, gay for pay is what they call it. The witchcraft, the Illuminati, all that shit is fucking real, bro. It's extremely real. And I also like the even the vampire aspect of like a major artist with a buzz, basically stealing the whole life force of an artist that is signed but has so much talent but is not on the forefront of marketability for the label, right? I experienced that too, and for me to have inspired records that ended up on J. Cole's album, you know, um for me to inspire like, you know, French Montana and all these other people and not get credit for it, or be called a clout chaser. That's their, when they rob you of ideas and intellectual property, they say you clout chasing. I ain't clout chasing. When you get signed, everybody gets beats from like the same producers. So I could be in the studio with a producer and he made a beat because he fuck with me. He fuck with my talent. He made a beat for me. I record on the beat. 2 months later, that same song, concept, beat, melody, BPM, whatever you want to call it, is on G-Eazy's album. Now, either G-Eazy might have known or not, but the producer presents it as a skeleton, as an idea, but it really wasn't an idea. It was an actual finished product. You understand? So, it's a lot of fake fucking executive producers and writers, and it's just fucked up. It's just fucked up. And I don't know if DJ Khaled is guilty of this, but it kind of makes sense, right? Like, you're like, how's this guy having all these hit records? Well, there's artists that you never heard. They do a reference track, and that reference track really wasn't a reference. It was their demo, but it got turned into a reference track, right? And it happened to me. And then you hear your whole fucking song on another dude's album, and you like, yo, what the fuck? Hell no. And it's really nothing, you could do if, outside of violence, you know, because you don't have a lawyer. Your lawyer is the label's lawyer. So that's conflict of interest. It's like you're a chicken trying to get the wolf in trouble with another wolf, So, man, I just was, I had a horrible experience, and then I ended up getting dropped from the label. And because I wasn't willing to sell my soul, do bad business or do anything homosexual, I ain't with none of that shit, bro. And I realized like this game is not made for real people. And so I've been doing it on my own. 700 plus thousand copies of my mixtape sold in the street later. Um, I'm taking my career finally by the reins. Um, you know, and I'm just in a very, very good space right now. So that's where I'm at right now.
So, who are some of the artists that you thought were talented growing up?
Mm. Well, my biggest inspiration was Tupac, right? Like my biggest inspiration was Tupac. So definitely Tupac, definitely Biggie, definitely so Biggie, Tupac, DMX, Cannabis. Like as a kid, like growing up, like okay, these guys was like was it. You know what I'm saying? Lloyd Banks, Cassidy, Stack Bundles was amazing.
Yep. So would
You
you
know,
say that's pretty much like your top five right there, or would you rather break down a different top five?
my top. See, well, my qualifications for top five, you know, encompasses not just the studio, right? Not just being in the booth. It also has a lot to do with like um who you are as a person and your character. So it's kind of tough for me to have a top five. It's very tough, man. And it's like I love Pac, I respect Pac, but I never would have been in the tub naked with the chains on. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have done that, right? Like I wouldn't have, that was a very freaky sexual kind of a picture. And I wouldn't have done that, right? Um, I love Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls is phenomenal. But when he said you look so good, I want to suck on your daddy's dick. So like wait, like hold on. You just said you know what I mean? Like it's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like wait a minute. Um, you know, and fuck that shit, man. You know what I'm saying?
DMX,
Yeah, I was just thinking X, right? And so crazy, right?
you love
X
X.
is my X might be like X might be like I gotta I it's yeah, you know what I mean? Like X is crazy, smokes crack, but he's super loyal. Super, he was super loyal to the Rough Riders imprint, and you know, X I would have to put X in that spot. Now he has a lot of flaws, but he has, in my perspective, in my opinion, he has less flaws than the other guys that I respect their lyrical capabilities.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how you point that out about those artists. Uh, who else will we go in on that list? I mean, you got 50 Cent, he's a survivor. 50's a survivor, you know what I mean? You got
Yeah,
Eminem, you know what I mean? Eminem,
Eminem, I can't. So Eminem, right? Only thing problem I have with Eminem is all the signs and symbols, right? Like the horns and all that shit. So I definitely take him off because I'm Muslim, right? So I believe in God, I believe in Allah. So I can't, you know, Eminem is like Eminem. He put on a lot of black people. So in that regard, it's like, yeah. But then in another regard, you have an album cover with devil horns, right? Like you talk about selling your soul and you talk about all these things. So I'm gonna I'm gonna kind of take you off my list just because of that. Secondly, Eminem never gave Big Pun credit for the inspirational impact he had on him. I hear a lot of inspiration that Big Pun inspired Eminem, and he never kind of mentioned that. So I'm taking M off that. I'm taking M off that predominantly because of all the devil weirdo shit. Cannabis can't pick beats. Like Cannabis was like phenomenal, but I never heard a song and a record from Cannabis that I respected. So it was just like, and your beats was like whack as fuck. So, um, so you know, um, Lloyd Banks, I never like Banks don't know how to make an album. Just my opinion. Like, and these are guys who I feel are phenomenal artists. But I'm just like super like uh abstract with my critiquing of motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?